Welcome, 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 everybody, to another Maker Monday on Go Imagine. For anyone who here that is new, has not been to one of these before, you're first hearing about Go Imagine. You've probably heard that we are the world's first marketplace that's donating 100% profits to charity. Now, we are a handmade marketplace specializing in just sellers that do handmade goods within the United States. And with that said, this site does not exist without our makers. We're closing in right now on almost 1,000 makers and artists around the country who have joined Go Imagine, which we're very excited about. And with that, every Monday, we want to come to all of you and introduce a new maker every Monday to you, hence the Maker Monday interview. So for today, I'm very excited to introduce you to somebody who doesn't have one, but has two stores on Go Imagine. We're going to learn all about that right now. So let's go ahead and welcome everybody, Ashley Busby from Relaxing Creations Company and Loving Creations by Ash. How's it going, Ashley?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I do have to warn everybody, we had some technical difficulty before this, so if there's a delay, I apologize. But so Ashley, I want to get started before we get into the more in-depth stuff. Let's start at the beginning with tell us where you're from. Tell us how long you've been selling online, and tell us what was the first product you started when you started selling online. I know it wasn't what you're selling now, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I am from a smaller town. It's New Philadelphia, Ohio. It's just south of Canton, where the Football Hall of Fame is. I have been selling online for about roughly 5 years, making wreaths, and I don't even do that anymore. I've moved on to the soaps and baby dolls.
So you started selling wreaths when you first got into it. Tell me why, when you decided to first sell online, did you go with wreaths?
You can be very creative with wreaths. I was doing like sports themed wreaths, obviously holiday themed. It was something you could do for all year round. I thought it would be like not just for Christmas. You think wreath, you think of a Christmas wreath. That's not the case anymore.
Right. Okay. And so before you started selling online, were you doing wreaths as a hobby? Was it something you enjoyed doing and thought to yourself, maybe I can do this online and people would buy them?
No, I just wanted to open an Etsy business, and I had done a couple wreaths personally for myself, and then I started with one or two, and once that one would sell, I was one of those people that put all my money back into the business, so it kind of just grew from there.
Okay, wonderful. And so this was, you were saying, so like 2016 is what we're talking about, correct?
Right. Yes.
All right. And so you were selling wreaths, and then it seems to me that you made a really big pivot to what are called reborn dolls, which I want to get into in a moment. But before we actually talk about the dolls themselves, tell me, what made you want to change from wreaths to selling reborn dolls? Who influenced you in that? What made you want to change and actually start making reborn dolls instead of making wreaths?
Well, I had actually started my online business because of my aunt, and I was doing the wreaths, and she's getting order after order after order, and she actually made reborn dolls. And I'm like, hey, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing here. And so she did it. She was successful, and she's like, try it. And she's kind of been my influence and helped me along, and she still does it.
All right, wonderful. So she's still doing reborn dolls as well. So would you say, when you were thinking about being a handmade seller, making handmade items, if I'm hearing you right, it wasn't so much a specific art. You seem like you do a lot of things, because you're doing wreaths, then you're doing dolls. It's more you like being an artist, working with your hands, not so much the exact medium, but just getting like, tell me about, you do all these different things. Is that just something you've always done?
I've always been crafty. My grandma taught me how to crochet. I've crocheted. I have a Cricut, so I do all the vinyl art. I make the shirts for my baby dolls. So I kind of do a little bit of everything. Obviously, I just picked what I wanted to sell, but I've always gotten into something to where half of my house is crafts.
It sounds like you probably built half of your house.
We bought our house based on what I would need for my stuff.
I guess that's not a bad thing, right? That means business is good. So
Right.
let's talk about for a moment. Obviously, it sounds like for years now you've been doing reborn dolls, and for some people, myself included, before you became a seller on Go Imagine, I didn't know a lot of things about reborn dolls. I'm going to open up your website in a second so we can take a look at a few of them. I'd love to see some you're making, but before we even show the dolls, can you describe like what is a reborn doll?
A reborn baby doll is different kits that are made by sculptors, and then I'm considered a reborn artist. So I bring the baby doll to life. I start with a blank canvas and I bring it to life. Like the veins, the nails, the skin, hair. I paint hair, then I put it together. So it's like a lifelike baby doll.
Okay, all right. So again, if I'm hearing you, one person is the sculptor, the person who creates the baby mold. Is that a good way to put it? And then you take that mold and you bring it to life, as you said.
Right. If you look on the website when we pull it up, you'll see like different names of the baby dolls. Those are actually like kits, like baby doll kits. And you buy a certain kit and then I paint it. So no doll is ever going to be the same because it's all hand painted.
Gotcha. Okay. And it's funny you said you bring a doll to life. For a second there, I was thinking that you're Geppetto is what you are from Pinocchio. So we're on your site now. If you want to visit the site,
Yeah,
Lovely
not
Creations
quite.
by Ash. What was that? Sorry.
I just said I'm not quite bringing them to life. I make them look lifelike.
It's close. So here we are. We're on Go Imagine, Loving Creations by Ash. And these are a bunch of the dolls you currently have on the site. And I mean, they do look lifelike. I'm not going to lie. These look incredible. And if you open up any of these, it's amazing. Now I'm someone who has 4 children myself. So I've had a lot of babies. It's incredible, the artistry to make it look so realistic. Now, when someone calls you and they have a custom request, can they ask you for the skin color? Can they ask you for rosy cheeks, the color of the hair? I mean, do you go as far as to allow them to customize the real look of the baby?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't change the way the baby's face is shaped, but I can do, you know, different skin tones. I sell bald babies, painted hair, and I even go as far as rooting hair, where I literally hand root hair one at a time into the baby. But that's very time consuming. You won't see that on my site as often. But yeah, it's a blank canvas that I can do with the customer request.
Wow, yeah. And so this, if I'm correct, this hair is actually painted on the baby.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. So I wanted to take a moment here. So these are
I, I
the. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I tend to always recommend painted hair because it's not high maintenance. You can still move it around. You're not gonna mess the hair up. So painted hair, just I mean that looks just as lifelike.
Right, right. So let's take a moment. These are the finished dolls, but I want to take a moment and look at one that maybe looks that wasn't completed yet that you could show us. On one that maybe you've just started working on, and what when you actually get the doll to actually paint, what does it look like?
This kit looks like that's like a blank canvas. So they actually come completely disassembled. I put her together for the purpose of the video, but if you look, she is completely no face features. Let me get in the camera there. But
Mm-hmm.
that is a blank canvas that I start with. And they're
Wow.
on a cloth body. They're weighted, so then they will actually be able to basically when you're holding it, it's going to feel like a real baby.
Okay. And so this is all purely hand painted by brush, or do you use also some sort of airbrushing, or is there other things that you use?
I actually use makeup wedges. It's oil-based paint and it's so thin. This is done by extremely thin layers. Like this is one that has open eyes
Wow.
and she's complete. So I don't know if you can get like I'm having trouble getting to my camera there, but she literally
Yeah.
has like yeah, veins, everything, canvas, and
Mhm.
I paint layer upon layer, and then it's heat set. So since this is in pieces, well, before I start, you have to bake the heat and cure it in, or bake the paint and cure it.
Okay, so let's take a step back there. So you said layers. How many layers of paint go on completing a baby?
I probably bake a doll like I just showed you, the vinyl itself, because they're made of vinyl. I probably bake, I'd say, at least 4 to 5 times on a basic doll. Now, this is an example of a darker skin tone baby. So
Okay.
I probably baked her 15, probably 20 times, and she's got painted hair as well.
All
So
right. So
this,
that no, hold up. So when you got that original, the reverse baby you just showed, was that, as you call it, the blank canvas, has
yeah,
the
they start
same
at the same
skin tone.
color.
It starts there, and you can choose the skin tone as you paint it and bake it and layer it. You create that skin tone.
Right. I'll probably do, I'd say, 4 to 5 layers, and then bake it 4 to 5 layers. Because if you build it up too quickly, you're going to end up with like chalk. This this is just built on layers upon layer upon layer, and obviously a skin tone this dark is going to take much longer to paint.
Right, right. And then you do the and then after the skin tone, you do the hair on top of that. And then rosy
Correct.
cheeks or whatever else you do on top of the skin tone after the skin tone's there.
Right, and then I do a matte varnish on top that basically seals and protects the paint. So they're pretty durable.
Yeah, I can imagine. So with these reborn dolls, I think there are some people out there that would look at the reborn dolls and think they look almost too lifelike. Like they look real. Some people love that sort of thing. Some people might not like it as much. So I guess the question is, and I guess it also leads to the fact that a reborn baby doll is typically more expensive because how much art and how much energy goes into making a reborn doll. Who's your typical buyer? Who are the people that typically are looking for a reborn doll?
The majority of my customers are parents that buy them for more mature children. I wouldn't buy it for anybody that's too young. The best thing when you're buying it for a kid is say, treat this like a real baby, and that's what they do. So I will have parents that get it if they're expecting a baby and they want their child to learn how to handle a baby, or I mean it is a child's toy. But then you also get into, people buy them for other reasons as well. Empty nest syndrome. I work in a nursing home. It's a big comfort to the elderly people that might be lonely, people that can't have
Mhm.
children. So there's endless purposes. They're great emotional therapy dolls as well.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So you see it on twofold. You see on one hand, um, they're bought for more mature children, right? Maybe 10 to 12 years old. Am I guessing the age right? That really want to handle a baby. And then you're looking at it for a more emotional doll, ones for maybe who are older people. You mentioned nursing homes, or maybe even people that have maybe emotional things they're dealing with, and the baby can help them with that. Is that fair to say?
Right. Unfortunately, I mean, there's people out there that want to have a baby and they can't, and they'll get one of
Mhm.
these just to have the comfort of being able to hold it, since it feels like a real baby. And I even sent them so their baby powder smell. It's a sense of comfort.
Right. Which is fantastic, which makes perfect sense to me why for some people this is the perfect doll. Um, so we talked a moment ago that you take custom requests, right? So are you more selling babies that are already done that you've put onto the website, or are these more just display babies that then you take a custom request? Because if I'm correct, everyone is made to order. Is that correct?
Most of them, yes. I do have a couple, like the two that I showed you, that are those ones are what I so when someone orders them, they're going to get those exact dolls. But a lot of the dolls that I sell, I will make it one time, and then I take pictures of it, and then you can buy it from me again based on my work. It's not going
Mm-hmm.
to look 100% like the one in the picture, but that's my work. It's going to look close. But you can customize it. You can say, I want this one to have a birthmark here. Or I want this one to be this skin tone, or bald, or hair. So it gives you a little bit more of a choice on what baby you would get.
So you actually have people asking for specific birthmarks. Like they get that detailed of what they want on the baby.
Oh yeah, my daughter has a heart-shaped birthmark on her left ankle. Can you put it on the doll? And I can do that. I've had people send me pictures of their child and say, "Hey, my kid had a mark on its forehead when it was born. Can you replicate that on this doll?" And the doll is typically for that child, like for their kid, and they want the doll to kind of look like them when they were younger.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I talked to you about before this, but when you're selling these dolls, you've been doing it for a while now. And I think you have one going right now. Do you ever do sort of promotions, or how are you getting the word out there for the dolls? I mean, you've been selling a bunch of them. Is it more on social media you're advertising? I think you have a promotion going right now you can talk about. Is there other places you're advertising to get the word out there?
Most of my business is done on my Facebook page, and that's how, I send people to Go Imagine now. Right now, I'm actually doing a raffle. It's not started yet, but I've been amping people up on my Facebook page, letting them decide, how would you like, or can you guess what kit I'm doing, just to get, people to know about what we're doing. But they've had say in if this baby's going to have painted hair, if it's going to be bald. So right now I'm actually painting a doll that I will put a set price on it and set a set amount of tickets and do a drawing. And I'm hoping to have that go live on Friday.
Wonderful. All right. And you mentioned before, we talked before, like, because this is one of the things we missed is there are some people who are collectors as well. They might have multiple dolls because it's something they collect like anything else is a collectible.
Right. The first doll that I showed you that wasn't it, that's a collector kit. So some dolls actually come, and I have an example here. This is the doll that I'm going to be raffling off. She is a limited edition. The kit will actually only be 1,500 of this kit world. Some of the more expensive high-end dolls, but I say, they come with certificates signed by the sculptor, and sometimes they have a place on there for the artist to sign. So they're a big collector piece.
So specifically signed by the sculptor who created it, and then you painted. That's incredible. So being a niche market of reborn dolls, if someone wants to find a reborn doll or look for a good reborn doll, what would you tell them about trying to find a reborn doll? Is there any tips on what to look for when you're shopping for a reborn doll?
Reborn dolls are very expensive. A lot of artists get offended by the word cheap because it's going to cost us upwards to $100 just to make the doll. So if you search for a doll, just be aware of the price. If it's going to be a lower cost, it's probably not to be what you're wanting. I don't really know what's the saying? You get what you pay for in price. So you've got to spend more to get the actual quality.
And I would think that's true across the board, especially with handmade, because one of the things you see a lot happening is there's a lot of imports. I don't want to say China specifically, but China manufactured items where you can get lesser expensive things that are from overseas, but oftentimes they're much lesser quality. Is the same thing you're seeing in the reborn doll world like you would see in other handmade genres?
Over the last year, the reborn industry, we're kind of spiking back now, but I'm a victim as well as buyers are victims. I've had a lot of my pictures stolen. If you look on my pictures now, they're tagged with my logo. But unfortunately, there is companies that are stealing artist work, and the same doll I may sell for $400, my picture and my quality, and saying, here, you can buy it from me for $100. When it costs me over $100 just for the supplies, you're obviously not going to doing is they're mass producing cheap plastic dolls that are factory made, and that's not what a reborn doll is.
It's disappointing how the world there are scammers out there, and people who are trying to make a quick buck. In fact, as a quick aside, and this is an example of what you're talking about here, my neighbor just recently bought an item from overseas, and she got delivered a pencil with a tracking code, and it was supposed to be a big kid's toy. And then she called to complain and to get her money back, but the item showed delivered. And so the scammer basically sent something that was not what she bought, and she couldn't get her money back because the tracking code showed it was delivered. And that's a little bit of the fear in buying things overseas sometimes versus buying something from the United States, something that's handmade and from a seller that you know is a person that cares versus a manufacturer overseas. So let's go ahead and shift
and
gears.
not to say it's just coming from China.
Yeah.
I just gonna say not to say it's just coming from China, but there's different rules and regulations over there. So unfortunately, you know, you may just completely lose out in that situation, like your friend did.
That's exactly what happened. So let's shift gears for a minute because we've talked a little bit about Loving Creations by Ash and the fact that you are doing reborn dolls, but you've now pivoted again alongside your reborn dolls. You've opened up a new shop, and I see you have a beautiful background behind you. And this is for Relaxing Creations Company, which is your new soap and bath and beauty company, correct?
Correct.
So what sparked the desire to do that?
Honestly, when you buy a bar of just soap is one thing that I sell. If you buy a bar of soap at the store, it's they advertise it as body detergent. I wanted something that's more all natural, and I just have always enjoyed watching. If you've never watched a soap making video, it's so relaxing, and it's just something that I knew I would enjoy, and I've got to love what I do, and I gave it a try, and it's just another form to show my art.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and this is what's impressive is that you're someone who likes so many different mediums of art that when you're ready, you try something new. So now with the soap, where it seems like, and let me actually show your site here. So we're no longer on Loving Creations by Ash. We're now on Relaxing Creations Company, and a lot of the different soaps and bath bombs that you're creating. What inspires you to make certain combinations of soap, certain fragrances or ingredients? What is making you decide which soap to create?
I always try to first off match the colors with the name of the fragrance. Like this one here, we're looking at oatmeal milk and honey. So I just went with my color combination of what I thought it should look like. It's just like I said, another way to show your art with the honeycomb on top. The ingredients, I'm self-taught, just like with the dolls and soap. I've just taught myself. There's ways to make your own recipe, and I use ingredients that's going to be more sensitive and moisturizing for your skin rather than the harsh stuff that you would get from a cheap bar of soap from a department store.
Right. And so this is interesting. The beyond the ingredients, you really get creative with the design of the soap, because it looks like this is some sort of like maybe leaf or something that you were able to.
I mean, it's endless. Yeah, what's really neat about, say, something like that one is you're pouring a main base, and then I just layered the black colors, and then I actually took a clothes hanger and pushed it through, and that's how I got that design. So there's a lot to soap making and getting the different designs.
It's almost like when you said the clothes hanger, I'm thinking like the espresso people that can make like a heart and make like 4-leaf clovers inside of espresso foam.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
That's great. Now a soap, when you make soap, it comes in a block, or what do you call it? I mean, you chop these into bars, correct?
Yeah, the mold that I'm using actually makes two, like I will slice the whole mold in half and make basically two loaves, and then you cut them individual loaves into individual bars. So I may make one big batch that makes, say, 17 bars of soap, but I'm making it all in one big container until I split it and cut it up.
Okay, that's wonderful. Wow. And so in this company just started. When did you start Relaxing Creations?
I started it with Go Imagine, so it's gonna grow with you guys. I've been making soap now for, I'd say, about 6 to 7 months, but I started out just making it for myself and for family, and it's turned out so well, and I've had nothing but great feedback that I saw Go Imagine, and I figured it'd be a great opportunity, start something new.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're something new as well. So I appreciate you growing with us. We anticipate we're going to be growing a lot into the future, and then we want to see you grow with us. So tell me about the future. What does the future hold for Loving Creations by Ash and Relaxing Creations Company? If you had to predict the future on where you were headed, do you have any plans for newer stores or products you're going to want to come out with? Is there a certain place you want to take these current products? Are you hoping to go full time at these companies? Because I know right now you also work for that nursing home you mentioned. So what does the future look like for your companies?
I kind of just adapt with the changes. For the baby dolls, I have done a lot of research on actually sculpting dolls myself and pouring them out of silicone, because that's another material you can use. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe someday in the future, when I'm not so consumed in everything else, actually sculpting a doll out of clay and making a silicone doll out of it.
Wow.
And for the soaps, I mean, there's so many Bath and Body products. I've made lotions for myself and things like that. So I mean, I may add and grow that store with lotions or candles, sugar scrubs. So I just want both. I never stay put. I always grow.
Yeah, well, I think that is quite clear with the fact that you've done all these different things. So is the ultimate goal for you to be full time and do your creative handmade world all full time without having another job?
I'd love to. Yeah, that's why I branch into different things, because some things are seasonal. So I like to have different options. So there's always a market for something.
Well, that's wonderful. All right, so just one more question I have for you. Let's pretend you were starting all over again. You're really at the beginning of this. What would you give yourself for advice when you were just starting out? If you were a new seller trying to sell online, what is the advice you would tell someone new?
Don't let fear hold you back. There's been a lot of opportunities where I've tried, or a lot of times that I've held myself back. I didn't paint hair for probably well over a year because I was scared to do it. There is such things as happy accidents. Dog. If you think, use your imagination. That's what creating is all about.
And that's why we call ourselves Go Imagine, because we want everyone to go imagine a better world. We also want everyone to go imagine better creations and make better things. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that, Ashley. I want to thank you for taking the time for being one of the earlier interviews on our Maker Mondays. I hope someday we get to have you back. Once again, for anyone watching this, please visit Ashley's store. She has 2 of them on Go Imagine. You can check her out at Loving Creations by Ash. You can also find her at Relaxing Creations, both on Go Imagine. So thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right. You have a great day. We'll see you all on the internet. Bye now.
Bye.